My name is Gretchen. I'm a freshman, and I like the movie theater.
My name is Jessica Baker. I'm a freshman, and I like the tennis courts. My name's Abigail Edwards, and I like the library.
My name's Callie Carter, and I'm a freshman, and I like the restaurants.
I'm Clarice Bowen. I'm a junior, and I like the rec center.
My name is Sean Lears. I'm a sophomore, and I like the movie theaters.
I'm Hannah Howery. I'm a sophomore, and I like the library.
I'm Cherokee Regan. I'm a sophomore, and I like how El Dorado is a community that has lots of families in it.
I'm Harley Thornton, and I'm a sophomore, and I like the movie theater.
My name's Taylor Brock. I'm a freshman, and I love the wonderful people in the community.
I'm Justin Jones. I'm a freshman, and I like some people in El Dorado.
Honesty.
I'm Lauren. I like the dam.
There you go. Good job.
Okay, great job.
Thanks.
Good job, guys. We're going to have some exciting things coming from the Youth Commission this year.
More exciting than that?
More exciting than that.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is proclamations. We don't have any this evening. We do have a personal appearance from Kirk Bookout, the Public Utilities Director, on an annual report. So if you come forward, Kirk.
Okay, if you want to look at your screens, I have a PowerPoint I'm going to run through. Appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to you about the Public Utilities Department, even though I think I was here the last meeting talking a little bit about them. It's really easy to brag about the department and the people that make things work. I chose this photo at the beginning of the PowerPoint because I think it's not the glamorous side of the Public Utilities Department, but it is a good representative of what we do. The guys are out there making sure that the water's clean, the water flows, it flows to your home, and it flows away from your home when you're done. We've been focusing on leadership training quite a bit over the last few years, looking at succession, looking at how we can continue to keep our standards high, and one of those is through leadership training. I have three superintendents. Brett's been through Leadership Butler, Gary Taylor through KU Emerging Leaders Program, and Jason Patty through the Leadership Butler and the KU Certified Public Manager Program. The training carries through to water and wastewater treatment personnel. We have myself, Brett Perry, and Jason Patty are all certified, have a Class 4 certification in water and wastewater. And then all of our water treatment plant operators have a Class 4, and our wastewater treatment operators, 3 of them have a Class 4. Jason Patty and Ron McClure have a Class 2 lab and analyst, which is a new certification program for certified laboratories. And then Brad Gillis, our newest hire, has a Class 1 wastewater.
Hey, Kurt, just real quick, tell the commission what that means. What the ranking of the licenses and how that impacts them, and even what it is that we're required to have, which is probably one of them, and that's not good enough for us.
For the size city and the type of facility we operate, we're required to have one Class 4 licensed operator. We've always had the philosophy that we need all of our people to be highly trained and be able to handle all sorts of situations. If you have 4 water treatment operators or 4 wastewater operators, chances are there may only be 1 or 2 on duty at any given time. And so if they all have a Class 4 certification, which KDHE requires a certification, either Class 1, 2, 3, or 4. The certification program is run by the Kansas Department of Health and Environment. Most of our operators take it's like taking a semester-long college course. It's an 18-week course. I don't know of any of our operators that have ever passed the Class 3 or 4 without taking that semester-long course. It's pretty tough, and a lot of operators end up taking that test 2, 3, 4 times before they pass it. So it's not an easy certification to get. By having a Class 4, these guys could go to a city that operates off of well water, or they really know everything about every type of water treatment operation there is, membranes. So it's really a pretty advanced course to get that certification. And for our operators, they can move up not only in certification, but they get a pay increase. They get an increase with each certification, so it allows them to move up in the pay scale faster, and helps us to retain those employees. We don't lose them to another city that pays more. In water distribution, sewer maintenance, we have the same 4 two-man crews we've had for over 30 years. Doesn't mean the same guys, but the same number of personnel for the crews that take care of both water distribution, which includes the water pipes in town, the fire hydrants, the valves, the water meters in town. On the sewer side, the lift stations, sewer collection lines, the manholes, all of the infrastructure that these guys take care of. We have added 1 man to perform locates, take care of lift stations, and serve as a field foreman. So instead of 8 guys, we have 9 guys, and it's been 8 guys as far back as anybody can remember. But the interesting thing about this is what we've done in the last 5 years. This shows water infrastructure investments. This is the amount of money spent in water distribution. This is the annual infrastructure cost. And you can see over the last 5 years, we've put a tremendous amount of focus on trying to bring our water distribution system up to where we think it's dependable. I think that it is, we haven't kept up with the rate of deterioration. And so this is an effort, again, with the same number of personnel, and these costs translated into infrastructure. Here's water replacement, 2005 through 2013, so you can see that has been increasing. Here's the number of fire hydrants replaced over the same time period. As you can see, not only replacing fire hydrants, but also the fire hydrants are connected to water mains, and so we've gone in and replaced an awful lot of 2-inch and 4-inch undersized water mains. That allowed us to improve our ISO rating, and so that's part of that score. And so I believe, I talked to Gary today, I think we only have 4 red fire hydrants left in the city. And so, and I don't know where we started, I should know that, but we had a lot of red hydrants just 4 or 5 years ago, and because we've replaced hydrants, replaced the water mains, the undersized water mains that those hydrants were connected to, we've been able to eliminate the red hydrants, which is for anybody that doesn't know, you've got blue hydrants, which carry the maximum flow. If they're blue, you've got, those hydrants are connected to big lines. And then you've got green, and then you've got orange, and you've got red, and decreasing flow rates. Here's the results from the investments. We see water leaks going down. We really haven't seen sewer blockages go down over the last couple of years, and there's a reason for that. One, we've had extremely dry weather. When you have dry weather, it doesn't keep things flowing, and so I think over the next 5 years, we'll see a drastic decrease in the number of sewer backups. We get normal flows going through. Also, we've gone in and we've root treated every line in the city. So all the sewer lines in the city have been treated with our vapor rooter, and so those roots are dying. This helps the homeowner and their service lines. You have a service line that goes from your home out to the city's sewer main, and most of the time the service line problems occur at that tap where the city's main and the homeowner's service line, there's a connection there, and that's an opportunity for roots to grow in. And so the vapor rooting actually goes back up into the service line 2 or 3 feet, kills any roots within that connection point. So that should help with sewer problems in the future. And get a plug for service line warranties too. Anybody that has a service line warranty insurance program, for I think $4 or $5 a month, you're covered for anything that happens to your sewer service line. So.
Or your water line if you choose.
Or your water line if you want to sign up for your water line too. So, investments in water treatment. I don't know if any of you have been over to the water treatment plant and saw what the lab looked like a couple of years ago, but we did most of the work in-house. Our water treatment operators and Brett Perry did most of this work to remodel, basically double the size of the lab. I'm going to go through some pictures of just improvements. The water treatment plant, as you see on the front of your, I handed out a annual report, and the cover shows the water treatment plant upgrade in 1972. It was completed, so that photo is actually probably about 1970. And so, but the water treatment plant upgrade in 1972 was the first major renovation after the water treatment plant was built in 1935 and finished in 1937. So you've got a treatment plant that's 75 years old, and all of the things that make that treatment plant work are 75 years old. And you think about your car or your house, or I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to the water treatment plant, and so one of the things that we've really focused on in the last 5 or 10 years is basically going through the water treatment plant part by part, piece by piece, and fixing and replacing things so that it'll last another 50 or 100 years. This is the ammonia feed system. The reason I have a picture of that on there, this is when I did the award for Robert Simmons a couple weeks ago. This was one of the innovations that he and Brett came up with. We had ammonia feed problems in the summertime when it gets really hot. Ammonia tends to gas off. It turns from a liquid to a gas before it gets to the water. And so these guys devised first put a roof over it so it would shade it, and then devised a refrigeration system to refrigerate the feed line. So that would be more dependable. We replaced the raw water valve actuator. This is what controls flow into the plant from the lake. High service pump valve actuators in the pump room. This picture, this is of inside the 1900, I want to say 1904, that old building, that big brick building or small brick building that's out in front of the water plant. That was the original water treatment plant. Completely went in and kind of refurbished the inside of that room. It now houses some of our spare electrical components. It also houses the switchgear for Holly Frontier pumps and the switchgear for the standby generator that was added here recently. Some of the other things that people take for granted, this fountain, for instance, was built, I want to say, in the 1930s. Completely went in and replumbed and new electrical, sandblasted and fixed that up.
Does it still change color?
I think so.
I remember.
I don't know since the refurbishing.
When I was a little kid, it changed, it had lights and it changed color.
Yeah, it's been there a while. And a lot of this infrastructure that's been there a while, it just quits working and leaks. And so this is a new valve vault for the new influent magnetic flow meter. This meters all the water coming in from El Dorado Lake into the plant. Flock basin mixers. These mixers are, I want to say these things are 50, 60 years old. When we went to replace them, we found out it was going to be about $65,000 a piece to replace them. We have a guy named Don Shoemaker that works for us as a maintenance man, and he and Brett completely rebuilt these things themselves. I think at a cost of maybe $15,000 or $20,000 a piece, and I think we've got 4 of the 5 mixers that we've fixed, and the reason we didn't just go in and fix them, we actually had them one by one. They started going out, they started wearing out, so they've built all this themselves. Ceramic membrane pilot, just completed this pilot to test out ceramic membranes for the event that we would build a new treatment plant sometime in the future to know how those things work. Going on to the wetlands and water reclamation facility. Talked about this a couple weeks ago. The plan award, again, this is the 4th plan award in 5 years. We had to set out in 2011, I believe, and then we'll have to sit out in 2014 because we won the award in 2009 and 10, and then 12 and 13. This is off the Kansas Department of Health and Environment. This is something that came up. I'm a member of the Walnut Basin Advisory Committee, and a guy named Tom Stiles visited our last meeting. Tom is in charge of stream water quality all across the state, and he shared this with us, and he was really impressed with the data. If you look right here, this is where our phosphorus numbers used to be, and this is what they are now. And if you look at where Whitewater's at, where 4 Mile Creek is at, and where the Walnut River down at the confluence where the Whitewater and the Walnut and 4 Mile Creek all come together, he shared with us that this is significant, and this is why. He said just because of the new treatment plant, they may be able to declassify the Walnut River as an impaired water body, and he said that's pretty significant and rarely happens in Kansas. But this is phosphorus numbers when the plant came online in 2007. We've got a couple anomalies right here, but this is pretty much where we stay for phosphorus. Phosphorus levels, it's just an indicator of nutrient pollution, and so that can come from cattle runoff, from row crop farmland, fertilizer runoff, but it's just a water quality indicator, and so that's what that plant was built for, and that's what it's doing. Still a biosolids land application. We'll put a plug in for, we do produce Class A biosolids. Those can go in your garden or your flower bed, and we have those available most of the year. I don't believe we have any available now because we just land applied just before planting our wheat crop. We have native grass buffer strips around all our fields, which keep the biosolids and nutrients on the fields and keep them from running into the rivers. Just took this picture today. This is winter wheat, but it's got something in with it. It has radishes. There's some studies that we became aware of through the Soil Conservation Service and K-State. You can increase your wheat yields by 3 to 5 bushels per acre by putting about 3 pounds per acre of radish seeds in with the wheat. It acts as a ground cover, holds moisture, especially good for no-till operations because it loosens up the soil. And so if you look here, these are actually radish plants coming up with the wheat. And so just kind of a new innovation in farming. Now we're to wind turbine. This is the wind turbine project costs. If you focus on these numbers, total grant money, $1,092,500. Total project costs, and then the city's cost, $1.225 million. Total energy produced year-to-date this year is 521,936 kilowatt hours. We've had a pretty good run since we did the cone bearing repair. Was completed in April. If you added January through April back in, we would be on track to produce 1 million kilowatt hours per year, which is kind of our goal that we think we can do from here on out. In the months since the repairs have been done, so from May on, we've produced about half of the electricity we use to operate the plant, or about $10,000 per month. The total energy produced since inception is about 1.274, or actually it is 1.274 million kilowatt hours. And this is the bottom line. The total project cost of the city from that previous slide was $1.225 million. If we look at all of the, and I actually have detail on the revenues minus expenditures I can give you, but all the revenues minus expenditures, 76,000 roughly in the black, and so that comes off of this number up here as 1.148 million. If we are producing, if our electric bills are typically about 20,000 a month, if we can get our electric bills down to $8,000 or $10,000 a month, which is what we've done over the last 5 months, we should be able to eat into that balance about $100,000, $120,000 a year. And here's the real. This is the upside of this thing. This is wastewater treatment plant electrical costs since 2007. You can see this line going up, up, up. Our electrical consumption out there has not increased over time. This is merely rate increases. And so if you look at that line and you project that on out here, this is where we would be in a couple of years, right up in here, and this is the trend coming down. So that's the silver lining in this thing is not only are we saving money every month that we have that thing running, but the longer we go out here, the escalation of electric rates continue to go up, and we see that at the water treatment plant too. And with the wind turbine, we can control those rate increases. We can control the cost of our electricity. So that's all I have. You have those annual reports. You can look through them. You can take them with you. If you don't need them, I have other people that would use them. So that's just a detailed snapshot of everything we do in a year in the Public Utilities Department. And I would entertain any questions.
Did you say 10,000 a month is our expenses?
Without the wind turbine going, our utility bill is about $20,000 a month.
Okay.
And with it going, it's 8,000 to 10,000, maybe 12,000. It depends on the month, but an average of about 10,000 a month in savings.
Okay, so what's our cost then, Kirk? I lost you on that part.
What's that?
What's our actual cost if you don't look at the revenue side? What's our cost of the turbine per month? Is it like 10,000? Did I pull that out of there? You've thrown those two numbers around.
No, and I think, Mayor, when he talked about 10,000, he was talking about energy expense. And I think to get at your question, Kurt, you just need to send him that detail sheet that shows all the expenses minus your revenues.
Right.
And that's what you're looking at.
Normal expenses, if there's, see, we had that cone bearing failure. Not only did they fix that, but they did some precision alignment. Of course, it's run better than it ever has. But normal annual expenses on the turbine will be $15,000 to $17,000 for just the normal maintenance to keep that thing. And actually, the guys from Ethos were here just a couple of weeks ago to look, and they went in and they measured all the alignment, everything, the work that they had done when they replaced that cone bearing. They went in and looked at everything, and they said it looked great, nothing had moved. Everything was still looked real good, so we're happy to hear that after 5 months of running.
What's our insurance run on that a month?
I think it's Tabitha, insurance on the turbine is $8,000 or $10,000 a year.
I believe so, but I
Yeah.
need to look to make sure.
Yeah, be interested in that.
Yeah. And we
Is
have,
that part of your detail? Do you think you have insurance, that added insurance in your detail?
I don't think it's in this detail because it's
Good.
in the city's policy, and it's so,
But
yeah,
add it.
but I can add it.
Yeah.
Because it's a rider in the tab. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, so you said that assuming that the turbine stays running, that you're anticipating about $120,000 a year on a 1.2 million, so that's a 10-year payoff?
Roughly 9, 10 years, yeah. And it could do better than that. I mean, we only have 5 months to base this on.
And I think that the key is he's telling you what it would be today for 10 years.
And that's, yeah,
No,
that's.
and I'm thinking if you add in the increase in the cost of power, it shrinks a lot
I
quicker.
mean, it's not hard to see that we would be at 250,000 probably by 15 or 16 if you look at this line.
And we can do the math. I mean, those tariffs are all approved by the KCC. It's not like they're unknown. They're in fact known. We can do the math because we know how much power we're using.
So we're not really selling a lot to Westar, are we?
On a windy day we are. On a windy day we are because it's producing more than we use. And so one of the conversations, the way we read our contract with Westar is they pay us
2.9.
They pay us 2.9, but the way the contract reads, the way KCC thinks it reads, they pay us what we're paying, which is 8.
8, yeah.
And so we still are working with Westar and the KCC to work this out, and then we even get a bigger return on investment, a quicker return. But when it's running, when it's 25 mile an hour, when do we maxing it out?
Peak production's about 28 to 30 miles per hour.
So when the wind's blowing that fast, we're making twice as much to 3/5 as much as we use. So we're selling it at that point. And what we thought we were getting was net metering, and that's not what they've given us. If they were doing that, then we'd be free lots of months. But right now we're getting 2.9, which is what they say it costs them to produce power.
So how much did we sell them last year? You got any idea of that, Kurt? Dollars?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay. We really save our money by our costs being lower out there.
And we save
It's
our
not to
money
sell
by
what we
the
sell.
escalation of rates, and we can hold our rates where they're at.
Yeah.
And the design size of that turbine would be, in net metering, we would be essentially zero a year because it produces more than we can use when it's running, but it doesn't blow every day. And so it's sized to get us to be zero, or maybe a little less than zero, but not a ton less than zero.
If you could send me a copy of that, Kirk, I'd appreciate it.
You bet.
Okay.
You bet.
You guys have any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay.
Thanks, Kurt.
Thank you, Kirk.
Good report.
Okay, we are ready for agenda item number 1, which is public comments. Is there anybody that would like to come forward this evening? Have anything that you'd like to talk about? This is your time. Okay, then we have no one for tonight on public comments. So we will close that and move on to agenda item number 2, consent agenda. Only thing that's on there is the approval of the city commission minutes from our October 6th meeting. Is there anything on there, guys, that you had any questions on?
I didn't say anything.
No, I didn't. I read it.
Bill, do you have anything on the minutes?
No, I did not. Sorry
Okay.
about that.
I'd entertain a motion then.
I move that the consent agenda as presented be approved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Okay, we're ready for agenda item number 3, changes to the El Dorado Municipal Code regarding dangerous animals.
Mayor, Commissioners, before you, you have the proposed ordinance changes to several sections, several articles in Section 6, which is our animal ordinances for the city of El Dorado. I'm not going to read through every one of them. I'm going to hit some highlights that are in it, just to make sure that folks understand what we've been working on. First and foremost is the definitions. There have been several changes to the definitions. Several things have been added there. As I told you before, when we do ordinance changes, we start at making a list of things we want to change after they're done, after things come up. One of which was a tethering ordinance, which will not allow your animal to be tethered for long periods of time in your yard unattended. Definitions, there had never been a definition of what a pit bull terrier, Staffordshire Terrier, American Bull Terrier, any of those are. That definition is now in there. It's a definition that we've used as an administrative guideline since 1989. Seems to have worked well for that length of time and should work well for the proposed change to the current ordinance. This ordinance also, no pun intended, but puts a little more bite in our dangerous animal ordinance. It allows 2 strikes, and the animal will be removed from town at that point. Everybody basically starts off with a clean slate right now, or at when this is approved, if it's approved. They would start off with a clean slate. This ordinance would also allow owners of pit bull breeds of dogs, American Staffordshire Terrier and American Bulldogs, to have those animals within the corporate limits of El Dorado, which they have not been able to have since 1989, with restrictions to what they have to do to be able to have those, which is identification, microchipping, and sterilization, and a few other things. As far as the dangerous ordinance, again, like I said, it allows staff to be able to better identify what constitutes a dangerous animal, what happens if your animal is declared a dangerous animal, and again, it gives us a little more leeway to determine if the animal was on property, off property, domesticated, non-domesticated, human, animal, whatever it may be. It allows us to do that, and it's a little better spelled out than it has been in past ordinances. And finally, it talks about being able to keep a dangerous animal, what a person, if your animal is unfortunately deemed dangerous by the Animal Control Division, what you would have to do in order to be able to keep that animal on your premises still living at your home. So I would entertain any questions that you may have. Try to do my best to answer.
One of the questions I had under the keeping of Staffordshire Terriers, the pit bulls, I just lost it, sorry. Would be the muzzling of the dog when you take it. There it is. So when subsection A says it's unlawful for an owner or keeper of a pit bull dog to permit the dog to be outside an approved enclosure unless the dog is restrained by a substantial chain or leash and under physical restraint by a response. So is that when they take them for a walk?
That's correct.
Okay. And then in subsection B, it says the same above requirement shall be in effect in the purpose of transportation to and from a veterinarian for medical treatment. And then there it says that it shall also have a muzzle. So in reading this, I've got a couple of questions, but the first one would be, do they, if you're just walking them, they don't need a muzzle, but if you're taking them to the vet, they do, or is that?
The way it's written right now is if they were out for a walk, they would need to have a muzzle on.
Okay. I mean, I'd like to...
Can I ask a question, Mayor?
Sure.
And so, but let me see. So, did they, when you said they start off with a clean slate, does the pit bull start off with a clean slate, or from day one or day 8 weeks, it has to have a muzzle? And then compare it to a Rottweiler, which may become.
Okay.
And I think that's your question.
That's what I'm getting to. Yeah.
Okay, as we've outlined the things that you have to do in order to be able to keep a pit bull in town, one of those would be muzzling, regardless. It's not declared a dangerous animal. Though they're kind of two different things. The dangerous animal would only have to have a muzzle once declared a dangerous animal. At that point, then, if it's going to be out on a leash, less than a 4-foot leash, then it would need to be muzzled. Now, switch gears and go into the requirements to be able to keep a pit bull. If you're going to have that animal on a leash, regardless of if it's been declared dangerous or not, one of the requirements as written here would be to keep it muzzled at all times while it's on a leash or while it's off the owner's property. And that was fairly common within cities that allow them in that breed of animal to be. We were told we need to model off of Wichita's. There was a couple things, a couple minor alterations that we made. Muzzling was one of the ones, I believe, in Wichita that was kept there as well. That provides kind of twofold. For instance, if someone were to trip, fall, have an accident, etc., and the dog were to get loose from them, it would provide just another layer of security between that animal off its leash and at large at that point and another animal or human being that may be nearby that it would go after, play with, whatever. The downside to that is that may not happen. And so then some folks think that it would be okay not to have. So again, if you like that, we leave it. If you don't like it, it can absolutely go away.
Well, as I think about the discussions that we've had since March in regards to this, I'll be completely honest, I've been swayed to the side of trying to allow responsible pet owners to own a pet bull or a pit bull in El Dorado. With that being said, I'm absolutely in favor of some of the conditions that we've put in here to bring the pit bulls back to town. But if the requirement is that you have the dog and they're on a substantial leash that you can control, I kind of like the idea of the clean slate and not have to worry about the muzzle until, I guess group them with the rest of the dogs.
And I'll second that. I mean, that's kind of what was my thought, and I just kind of thought, as far as if we're going to allow the animals into the community, that they are entitled as an animal to have that quality of life, and if they're being walked like a dog, they should be able to have that freedom in my eyes. So I have leaned that way, personally.
And I've spent a lot of time on the bike paths, on the walking paths in town, and had an opportunity to visit with pet owners that don't have a pit bull, that are walking their dog that has never been deemed a dangerous dog, and some of them have muzzles on their dogs, and that's just their choice as a responsible pet owner, and they choose to do that. But I think that, I guess the muzzle is one that I kind of have issue with if the dog hasn't done anything wrong. With that being said, I appreciate the work that's been put into putting the ordinance together, and I think that there should be some, some conditions for bringing these dogs back into the community on this level. So I guess that's, as far as the muzzle goes, I'd like to see what your guys' thoughts are about making that change.
I'd agree with Jason Bill on the muzzle. I'd like to see the muzzle requirement come out, and I'm also inclined to, if I gotta find it now, if I read it right, on the where is it? On the keeping.
Probably talking
The
about
kennel.
the fourth path.
Yeah, it'd be section C, I guess. In my opinion, if the dog isn't tethered and is in a fenced yard, I don't know if we need to say it has to be at least, I mean, most privacy fences are 6 foot tall. And although I've seen dogs go over 6 foot fences, I don't see a need for a special structure to house the dog in.
And Nick, if you, looking again at section C, if you just get rid of A, B, C, and D, and so you're still requiring securely enclosed, you're requiring it to be locked so that someone can't just open it up. At that point, if you did all the things we said, the dog isn't getting out. If you, again, thinking about the responsible pet owner, if you've told them you got to keep it in and it gets out, it's a violation. And so I think that it still meets, we gave you the path to make sure it never gets out. If you just say you've got to have it securely pinned, you're leaving the discretion to the homeowner or the owner.
What that means.
What that is, and if it gets out, it has problems with the city that it's getting out. And so,
and I agree with, I think the responsible pet owner is going to take every.
I think as we've talked about this is about responsible pet owners, the people that don't want to be regulated have pit bulls today in El Dorado. I mean, we know that. And so if you just struck those, I think you get what we feel you need and get, I think, what maybe you feel you need.
I want to clarify really quick. You're only talking about the pit bull
Yeah,
side of this at this
Not the
point.
dangerous
Not
dog
the
side of it.
Not the dangerous dog
Not
side.
the dangerous dog.
right.
I think everybody graduates.
Once the dog's been
dangerous.
deemed dangerous by the
I want to make sure I'm marking out the right stuff.
just the
Well,
keeping
don't
of
mark
the
it out
statutory
yet,
territory.
because
Well-
so far, that's just me.
I'm marking it up, let's put it that way.
Well, and that's, I mean, really, those are the two things I think I mentioned last meeting when we briefly went over this, was just my thoughts with how they were fenced and housed and then being muzzled.
I'd like
as far
to-
as the pit bull portion.
I'd like to see you at least identify a size of fence or a normal construction of fence. Lots of people use chicken wire type fencing, welded wire type fencing to secure off an area in their yard, and I don't think that's probably suitable to keep an animal in. That's generally only 3 to, well, probably about 36 inches tall. So
Well, you can't go 6 in town anyway, can you?
you can go.
Oh, so you can go regular 6 chain link.
Right.
I don't have a problem making it a 6-foot fence.
Well, I mean, a normal chain link fence is 4 foot high, probably. I mean, I think you could reasonably say you could make a good case for keeping an animal in a normal sized backyard. Now,
In a 4-foot fence?
well, like you said, dogs have cleared 6-foot privacy fences before, but
I've seen them climb.
gone over, gone under,
Mine is
etc.
fine,
So,
but I had to put a roof on mine.
so I'd like you to consider a
And again,
minimum
I
height
think
fence.
people know the characteristics of their pets. Responsible owners do. And if they've got a climber, they know they got a climber. And they're going to take what steps they need to keep that dog in their yard, because a responsible pet owner doesn't want their dog running at large. It's not safe for the animal, it's not safe for the public, and the responsible pet owner is going to take steps to make sure that doesn't happen, I feel.
And so if you do, even if you don't put, the problem I guess I have with thinking about that, if you put a 4-foot chain link and that's your requirement, and they do it and they climb, well, I did what you told me, whereas if you leave it that you've got to have it secured, now you've told them they got to make that determination. You've shifted that responsibility to them, and if they choose to put up chicken wire and you pick it up every day,
And
it's going to be too long till we keep it.
depending on the style or whatever of the home, whether they want to do whatever material. I guess you're right. We don't want chicken wire fencing, but there's probably several options that would be adequate for.
Unless you have chickens, which
you
you
have
can do that
chickens.
now in El Dorado.
So I kind of like what Herb was saying. I feel like if you guys, putting that at their discretion, knowing as being a responsible owner, they've got to evaluate that, and that if their animals getting out and causing trouble, they're going to get transitioned into the other set of ordinances or the other set of rules with being a dangerous dog.
I like what he said too.
Yeah.
It's a lot better than what I
Do you have
said.
any thoughts, Mike?
On that issue, or
On
on
just-
general?
About both?
Both. I was going to kind of go back to a general thing, and so people at home that might be watching this, that we've been working at this for how long?
Months.
March.
Yeah, a long time. Put a lot of good time into it. The State Humane Society lady was here at a work session and talked to us. She had like 2 cities. It was Lawrence and Bonner Springs, if I remember right. Is that right, Brad?
That's correct.
Did we use any of that information in here?
Absolutely.
Okay. So when you said Wichita,
We plagiarized it like you wouldn't believe.
okay. So that's the thing I wanted to hear, because
And as
I
we
was
were- as we
impressed
were-
listening to her about that. You know, she had said that she'd been all over the state, and these were the 2 best that she knew of. Has she looked at our deal?
They're identical. They're almost word for word.
Are they? Okay,
So-
all right.
She handed us the information. So.
Yeah, okay. In the local veterinaries, we gave them all a chance on that, the citizens. I think we've done a good job of trying to get the word out. The only thing that, if I'm going to err, I sure want to err on the side of safety. You know, if one thing happened here in town, we'd all remember this. You know, that keeps going through my mind. We got a lot of emails. I know all the commissioners got one, and there was one I got from out of Florida from a lady that was talking about raising one of these pit bulls from a pup, and it was a very good animal, and then as it got older, it kind of started growling at her husband, and one night she got up to go to the bathroom, and this dog jumped her and throated her. You know, and that's always stuck in my mind, you know, because I think she put a very sincere letter together, what she did there. So But there's a lot of good pit bulls out there too. So I think we've talked to everybody. We put this together. The two questions I have for you, the mixed breed part. You know, if you had a pit bull that had a quarter, a half, you know, how do you decide what's a pit bull?
We've left that to our local vets to help with that. We've also said in the definition, and it's the same definition since 1989, that talks about predominant characteristics of the animal. So I would think that we would continue with that just like we have for the last.
When they get tagged, is that when they decide what it's going to be classified as? Okay.
Unfortunately, we've had people that have circumvented our ordinance in the past, and then if they circumvent that ordinance, then we find out later, and then obviously we have some issues to deal with because I know of one that was licensed, and when I went up there because it was running at large, the boy answered the door, and I said, "Do you have a pit bull that's running at large?" And he says, "No, just my dog here." And I said, "Can I see it?" He brought it to the door. I said, "Well, what breed is that?" And he said, "It's a border collie." And I said, no, it's not even remotely close to a border collie. It doesn't look anything like a Lassie dog or any of those. So we have people that try to circumvent that. None of our local vets, obviously, but we've had some that have done that in the past, and so they may get by with it, but at some point we're probably going to find it.
The muzzling issue, was that in all these other ones?
95% of them, yes.
Okay. You know, the thing that you guys on muzzles, I'm kind of on that tethering of where you can only keep them tied up for an hour and then you have to leave them loose for 3 hours. You know, you tie them up for an hour and they got to release them for 3 hours. If anything, it ought to be the other way around. Well, that's just my opinion. So, because really when you put that in there, I don't think you can, everybody's got to work, and I don't know how, so you're not going to be able to, you're going to have to do something other than tether them.
Put them in a fence. It wants a fence, Mayor.
Yeah,
that's what it's
tethered
about.
inside of a fenced-in yard.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
and what that will allow is that would allow someone to perhaps put a dog out that maybe doesn't like a backyard, that may be predominantly an indoor dog, allow them to go out, hook them up, and then let them go do their business for a while, and then bring them back in and go from there, rather than leaving them outside. And unfortunately, as we've had a couple of instances in the last couple of years where someone tethered an animal, not necessarily inappropriately, but not in ideal conditions for that to happen, and unfortunately the end result was the animal lost its life. And so this is not a knee-jerk reaction. This is proactive. This has been on since we adopted the last set of changes to this, and we're changing some things in the same chapter now, and so that's why it's in there right now. Most of anybody that had an ordinance was between an hour and a half, the ones that we found, and I think we found 3. This one was a decent one, again, by the gal at the Humane Society. We took it literally. She said it's the best one out there, and so the expert believes that it's a good one, and so obviously she didn't have a problem with the hour.
We got 9 legal pages.
There you go.
On this kind of deal, and I think we're all going to have a piece of that we don't like. But
It's a big ordinance.
I'm kind of inclined that we take what's written and be happy with it. I mean, there's things in that, like say, I'd get picky with, but there's nobody not everybody's going to be happy with this.
We took all of the comments that we had from the meetings that we had, from the work session that we had, from the commission meetings that we had, took all those comments, went back through and massaged the concerns or the comments, et cetera, into the ordinance, and I think that we have come up with something as close to make everyone happy as possible, which isn't always easy.
Yeah.
Especially not when you deal with their animals.
I've noticed in some other communities that I'm seeing more dogs muzzled, and so you're seeing it more out there. So that's my opinion. I think we put enough time and effort into it and got community input, and I think I'm happy with what you got written, Brad. That's where I'm at.
So am I hearing remove the muzzling portion, leave it? What am I hearing?
I'm still not in favor of muzzles.
And I'm not either. I mean, I do think we have a wonderful ordinance put together, and I only come from that direction, just thinking quality of life for an animal. I mean, I think that puts some restrictions on them that they don't necessarily need until they move into that dangerous dog portion. So I would be in favor of removing,
Yeah, now,
striking the muzzle.
If the animal's designated
Yeah,
as
yeah, yeah.
dangerous, then, is there anything in the, I don't remember seeing it, that once an animal is declared a dangerous dog, then does it have to be muzzled?
Yeah.
If it's on leash?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. No matter what breed it is.
yeah.
It doesn't
Could
matter.
be a dangerous chihuahua.
Could be.
There can be.
Duct tape, electrical tape, I don't know, but Scotch tape.
Camouflage, I mean, what do you? Clothespin.
Dangerous chickens, I don't, yeah.
If the director of the State Humane Society doesn't have a problem with muzzling, and 95% of the communities are doing that, that's what's happening out there. So, and I would err on the side of safety is where my only statements to that. So, but if you guys are strong on that, I'm not going to sit here. This is a compromising deal too. If it's that big a deal to you guys,
The muzzles are a big deal for me, but, you know, look, I want to get this thing behind us.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of work put into it. I'm appreciative of all the work that's been into it. I'm very appreciative of the comments from the community. We've had a lot of participation, more participation in this issue than we've had in really any of the other issues that have come before us in the last year. So this has been, I want us to do something. I'm not in favor of the muzzling. So that's just where I'm at with it.
And the pen, are we good with not having A, B, and C, and D, or do you want A,
They
B?
just need to secure their dogs. I mean, I don't.
Okay. And I think that's
That's
done,
all.
I think that's done in C. Shall be securely defined,
Right.
confined indoors or in a securely enclosed and locked pen or kennel, except when leashed, as
Now,
above provided.
pen.
And
Locked pen, kennel, or fence.
Or fin.
right,
Or fin.
Fenced area.
or yeah.
I'll give it to you. Just a sec.
Ordinance number. What's the ordinance number? Can I pass it with those changes?
What'd you say?
Can
we
I
pass it like that?
Yes.
Or do we
just
need
make-
to?
And then we'll change it,
And then
and
sign it?
you'll see it in your minutes, and if we did it wrong, then
Yeah.
just tell us to redo it. But I think
You'll have to-
as amended.
Okay, yeah, here. So it'd be G 1187?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number G 1187, an ordinance amending the El Dorado Municipal Code pertaining to dangerous animals.
I'm
We
sorry,
have two, don't we?
Chase.
No, would that be the only one?
Commissioner Locke, sorry, can you go back and say you move to approve ordinance
As
number
amended.
G? As amended, yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number G 1187 as amended, an ordinance amending the El Dorado Municipal Code pertaining to dangerous animals.
Second.
got a motion in a second. Any discussion? What's the actual amendment, Jay? Should you say
That
so
we
know?
are going to, what were the letters? To make it where the fencing was
Remove A,
adequate.
B, C, and D, and remove the muzzling
Muzzling.
portion of the
Of the
pit
pit
bull
bull.
allotment.
Section C, .20.045,
And strike.
Section C, removing little a, b, and c. And then on the other one, I'm trying to
Strike the muzzle requirement.
strike the muzzle requirement.
On the pit bull portion.
On the pit bull.
20045 on the pit bull.
What number did you say it was? Did you just say that, Bill?
6.20.045 section B, subsection A
Got it.
And some in subsection A.
and B.
and B both.
Yep.
Yes, I'm an A and B both.
Okay.
And then section C,
Right.
removing subsection A through D.
Little a.
Little, right, that's subsection.
Oh, is
I
that how
have
you
it.
say that?
I just didn't want to say little a. Little a, little b.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, I'd like to note that this ordinance will not go into effect until it's been passed or published 2 times in the newspaper. So the first time we'll be able to publish it is this Saturday, I believe. I'm not sure about my dates. And then, so the next time it'd be published would be next Saturday. So it will go into effect the 2nd of November, I think, if I did my math right.
Which will be just in time to start purchasing your 2015 animal licenses. So
Perfect.
what a time.
Thank you, Brad, for
Thank
doing
you.
all that.
Thanks, Brad.
Thanks, Brad.
Can I say, I really, again, the conversation has been pretty active since this was brought back up in March. I encourage anybody that has questions about this to contact city staff, to go to the website and review the notes that are out there. If you have any questions, because I want to make sure everyone has all the information, but it's been out there for a while, and we've all had a chance to review it, so.
Roll call?
Any other discussion?
No, sir.
I'll be voting for this because there's 9 legal pages of this, and this is one issue on this, and there's too many other good things that's in
There's a lot
here.
of great
Yeah,
things.
there's a lot of good things. I
So
appreciate
you
that.
have to do some compromising here, so. Any other discussion? All those in favor, signal. Roll call, you're right.
Commissioner Locke?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Badway?
Yes.
Mayor Fag?
Yes. That shows you how complicated life's getting when you're reading one of those kind of things. Just for a dog.
Well, I mean, and it was hard.
Yes, it was.
And so I think everybody wants you to take time.
And before we go into that, Jim, you'd reviewed this, and Jim signs off, the city attorney, and Herb,
Right.
you've looked at it, and you was happy with it. Okay, I was going to ask that, and I forgot. Okay, we're ready for item number 4, Susan B. Allen, revenue bond issue. Who's going to give the background on that?
You can do it?
I can do it. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, in April of 2012, the City and County Commission discussed an IRB for the hospital to do some refinancing on existing debt, purchasing some new equipment, and to make some energy-saving improvements. The City Commission agreed that the county would take the IRB because we hadn't planned to issue more debt that year, but if we were to issue the hospital debt that year, it would have put us pretty close to our limits. So we allowed the county to do it. They are finished up with their paperwork, and so if you still are in agreement that the county can do this IRB, then we don't have to do anything. I just need to sign the certificate. I don't know if you have any other questions.
This being a revenue bond, what kind of risk, are there any risks that's taken? Somebody's going to buy the bonds, so it's not really an issue as far as risk goes. It's paperwork.
Right. And I'm sure it's about not wanting to pay sales taxes. It'd be my guess is why they wanted to do an IRB. And it can exempt them from property tax, but I think all their machinery and equipment's exempt anyway anymore, so I'm going to say it's probably just to be able to build without paying sales tax. Maybe they get a little better interest rate, but as you pointed out, it's an IRB, and whenever we do an IRB, the borrower comes with the lender, and so that's their relationship. Our IRBs, there's no risk to the city. It's all between lender and borrower, just like any normal banking transaction.
So bottom line, we could thank the county for doing this for us.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any questions after just reviewing it this morning.
Nick, you got anything, or Bill?
No, I didn't see anything in it that I had anything negative.
I'd entertain a motion then.
We don't need one?
No action.
We don't?
I just-
Okay,
That's just informing you.
gotcha.
Thank you, Tabitha.
Thank you, county.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin.
Okay, we're ready for agenda item number 5, special use permit to allow oil and gas extraction.
Yes, Mayor and Commissioners, Vess Oil Corporation has requested a special use permit to allow for the installation of a new oil well on property owned by Grizzly Development. The well site is located just east of Oil Hill Road and south of Refinery Road, northwest 10th Avenue. The Planning Commission met and held a public hearing on September 25th and recommends approval to you all with an 8-1 vote.
Commissioners, you got any questions?
No, I read the planning commission minutes.
I did too.
Had a good conversation.
Yeah. And that,
How many other wells is on that location?
2, I believe.
Where are they
And then-
located from that proposed well location? Do you know?
Let's go ahead and find the map here.
All of
Know if they
those
show up
insert roads there.
very clear. I mean, you have a couple tank batteries. Just to the north and east, you see there's an oil pump jack there. The tank batteries are kind of northeasterly from the proposed well.
So, this is Vess Oil. There's some oil lines that run across just be north of Pioneer. Is that the same company? Different company?
That's a transportation company, and I think it's New Star?
But Pioneer Road, Vess Oil does own the oil lease.
No,
And
the
that-
pipelines,
No, I'm talking about the oil lease that
Oh.
that all those power lines are running for right there.
yes,
Vess
that
Oil.
is Vessel.
So Scott, you're saying that's northeast, those 2 wells?
I believe one of those is a tank battery to the northwest. To the northeast, I believe you have a well, and then there's one south of the old Union Pacific rail line there, that abandoned, somewhere in that vicinity. From having discussions with them, this is the last well they foresee being drilled on the site.
They hope it's a well.
They hope it's a well.
Given where it is, I like their odds.
Hope springs eternal.
In this whole property in that brownfield deal with the old refinery, or is that not in that?
This is owned by another individual, Grizzly Development.
Is it on the old green property?
It is on the old green
You know
property.
what we're talking about now, Mike?
Yeah, yeah. Now, let's say life goes on and we get some industry and we want to develop this area, would that oil well slow us down?
And that was a question we asked, and Grizzly Development is primarily Murphin, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a
Murphy.
relationship between the property owner and the leasee of the oil leasee.
And so that was my thing, what does the surface owner say about it? And so they were fine with it. They were notified of it. And like Scott said, there's a relationship between Vess and Murphin. I think they do, well, we know they do projects together.
The only place this is allowed in our zoning regs is in industrial zone, and it is only allowed by special use permit. So this will be the second one that has come before you all that I'm aware of. The other, a few years back, was just to the west of the new fire substation on 6th Avenue.
Any other questions, guys?
Yeah, I'm looking at this. Just a second.
I don't have any.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I'm good.
But you're good.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I was trying to place it there, but I'm good.
There's no chance, Herb, in your opinion, for future development in that area that would hinder anything? You know, let's say they go out and hit a 50-barrel oil well there. That mineral rights, some property owners want to own the mineral rights.
And
That
I
can
think,
make it very expensive, and all of a sudden we just have an oil field out there.
and the new owner, the owner of this property is new to owning it and had intended to develop it. And so that's why we paid particular attention to what they wanted, and the relationship was such that they were fine with it. And so at that point, while it, in the abstract, if I own a big piece of property, I'd much rather there be pump jacks on it making me money every month. But given that they had a choice and chose to support it, I'd hate to second guess what a property owner wants to do. But you're exactly right. If someone wanted to put a 100-acre building on it, there's going to be pump jacks indoors. And so I think they'd look for another piece of property. And I think what maybe helped influence them was it's not flat, and we're in a part of Kansas that you can still find some kind of flat areas to build on. And so it could very well have been, they understood the rock removal cost, and so the probability of big flat development was unlikely. But we absolutely vetted that, and I mean, I had the same thought as you, Mayor.
With that being the way it is zoned in that area, that's allowed with special use, and that's what we're doing now.
Correct.
There's really nothing, I don't know what we could say no about in this kind of deal. That's the thing I was wrestling, and you got unless we just don't allow oil wells, period.
Well, and if you could absolutely, you could say no, but you'd want to defend it. And so I think it would be an easy no, given what it is, what it's zoned. It would have been an easy zone no if the property owner had said, no, I'd rather it not be there.
Mm.
You know, I think that your planning commission discussion would have been different. Yeah. And certainly probably you would too. But the reality is that while there have been brownfields in El Dorado, people have been making oil in El Dorado for getting close to 100 years, and so it's not unknown, and the people putting it in, I think that generally the regulations and the people putting in oil wells are doing a good job in Kansas, and it's highly regulated, so the probability of us having groundwater issues are not too bad. But the limiting factor is on development of the property, and in this case, property owner says it's okay.
The comprehensive plan, is there anything in there at all that would discourage this? Did anybody look at that?
I did.
From that standpoint? I didn't get time to look at that.
Well, when we look at it, when I looked at this site first, I started looking at the comprehensive plan for future transportation needs. How could this affect a future right-of-way access to the area? And took a look at that. Then Herb's right. You talk about parcels, available parcels that are able to be built on. That's in our comp plan and best highest use for land. With oil and gas extraction, that's a secondary use to what could potentially be a bigger, better primary use down the road. But with just the way that land has been used for years and years and years and years, and its current production, and the relationship between the owner of the surface and the mineral, we felt that it made sense to go ahead and suggest this.
But I mean, you don't allow it. This is the only zone in El Dorado that allows it. So, you don't, we had someone wanted to spud a well next to the old Ford business, and we told them no. And so there's very few places in El Dorado where you can even ask. This happens to be one of them. Maybe out west you could.
Yeah,
But we own the surface. We don't own the minerals, though, do we?
No, but, and when you're looking at the special use as well, we talk about screening. At the one at the fire station, we did require screening and some separation from the views from the turnpike, 6th Avenue, the residential neighborhoods. But in this case, it didn't really seem that would be necessary.
And even the one by BG, because we ended up getting a suite of 2 or 3 in that deal. And 2 of them were close enough to Turnpike that we required screening, and they planted the plants. I don't know if they survived the drought.
And that piece of land in the comprehensive plan still shows for future land use as industrial, as I-1. So it will still fall in that area where the special use permit would pertain.
And I think that as we worked with the owner about site development, it did not seem to lend itself to one big owner as much as it lended itself to several parcels of 5 or 10 acres maybe. And so it looked like that was more the development side, multiple smaller businesses, which of course are the bedrock of any industrial situation is 100 employees or less.
Ready for a motion?
Yes.
I move that the recommendation of the Planning Commission to approve case number 14-008-SUP requesting a special use permit to allow oil and gas extraction on land located on North Oil Hill Road be accepted, and that ordinance number 1188 be approved.
Second.
Got a motion in 2 seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, this item and the next 2 items should be roll calls.
Oh, they
didn't
should.
make it.
Okay.
I apologize.
Okay, so we need a roll call then.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Badway?
Yes.
Mayor Fagg?
Yes.
Commissioner Locke?
Yes.
Okay, we're ready for agenda item number 6. Got a special use permit. Does anybody want to give a background to that?
Yeah, Jeffrey Jones, applicant, has requested special use permit to allow a Taekwondo school at 135 North Main Street. This property is zoned C2, and for indoor recreational type use, that would require a special use permit. The Planning Commission did hold a public hearing on this issue September 25th and recommended approval 9-0.
Scott, do they send letters out on that to neighbors?
We do.
And we only got one letter, wasn't it? Or what kind of response did we get to that?
None on this and none at the public hearing.
Okay.
Which building is that?
That is that is on the
It's on the west side.
west side. It is just around the Sunshine Alley area.
And isn't it, it's a special use permit because I think back to the comp plan, they really didn't want that kind of business downtown.
Yeah, and it's indoor recreation, so it's
It'd
not.
be farther north than that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be.
Because Wells Building is.
Oh, it's the
111.
It's the old.
The old ballet school.
No, it's a building that has the back to the alley with the front door to the alley. It used to be a pawn shop or years ago with the metal siding on it.
Oh,
Just to the,
Howard Cool's.
yeah,
Cool Trader.
Cools. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So it's just one building south of Willie's, or two buildings south of Willie's.
Main Street didn't have an issue with it either, Scott, that you know of?
We did not hear from them on this.
Okay. Entertain a motion?
I move that the recommendation of the Planning Commission to approve case number 14-011-SUP requesting a special use permit to allow a taekwondo school on property located at 135 North Main Street E be accepted, and that ordinance number 1189 be approved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Tab, is there supposed to be a letter on that ordinance?
G.
Excuse me. Well, it's not on mine.
It's not on mine, that's why I asked.
So
We're still working out some of the proofing
so
issues
do I have
with
to
the new
read it
website.
again? Do I have to amend the motion?
I got it.
I got it.
Well,
Ordinance number G 1189 be approved.
there you go.
That's the wrong letter, Nick.
That's wrong one. Dude.
Commissioner Badway,
Yes.
Mayor Pegg,
Yes.
Commissioner Locke,
Yes.
and Commissioner Yap.
Yes.
Okay, we are ready for agenda item number 7, special use permit to allow a wind turbine. Case number 14009 SUP.
Yeah, Randy Doherty has requested a special use permit to allow a wind turbine at his property located at 3021 Southeast 34th Street. This property is located outside the city limits, but is in our extraterritorial growth area. So the issue was brought before the Planning Commission and on to you. He's proposing constructing a 45-foot tall wind turbine on his property for consumption on his property of the electric that it produces. The Planning Commission did hold a public hearing and recommended approval by a 7-2 vote. This item was given the sign-off by Butler County. It is allowed by right in the Butler County zoning regulations. However, with the City of El Dorado zoning regulations, any wind turbine requires a special use permit. So Mr. Doherty has gone through that process and is here tonight to seek approval.
And does it have normally we have a fall zone, does it have a clear
It does.
fall?
It will be located 165, anywhere from 170 foot away from 34th Street, 170 foot from his rear property line, 100 feet from his a greenhouse he's wanting to construct on his property, and 165 foot away from his east property line.
That ought to clear a 40-foot tower.
Double the height of the tower.
Well, I hope he gets net metering.
He
does.
He is up the
He
side.
gets net metering.
Get it in writing.
We got it in writing.
Well, I didn't have any questions. I, again, just, especially looking at the last couple that we visited, always a thank you to the Planning Commission to review this stuff and help us out, because that would be a lot of extra time that I don't feel like we all have with everything else. But I didn't have any further questions after going through all that.
You said 45 foot in the air, is that what you said, Scott? What's an average windmill? Is that about like that? A standard windmill?
A windmill. I would guess those were probably 25, 30. I mean, some of the bigger ones you
For
get.
a cow to
twice
like
that.
pump water?
Yeah.
I think you're right.
It's about twice as high.
This, and his is of the height where, in his zoning jurisdiction, he could build a structure, a home that's 40 foot tall. So kind of put that in perspective.
Okay,
Ready for a motion?
yep.
Hey,
Chase
I'll
has this
cover
one.
you.
I want to do
Chase
the
it.
hat trick, okay?
Or-
One time, I want to do
All
it
right,
all.
do that.
I move that the recommendation of the Planning Commission to approve case number 14-009-SUP requesting a special use permit to allow a wind turbine on property located at 3021 Southeast 34th Street be adopted, and that ordinance number G1190 be approved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? I'd like to second what Chase said about the Planning Commission. They had a lot of issues this time. I thought they did a good job from what I read. So.
Yeah, the minutes were great.
Yeah, they were. They were very helpful.
Do we need a roll call on this one, too?
Yes, we do.
Okay,
Mayor
well-
Fagg,
Yes.
Commissioner Locke,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Badway.
Yes.
Okay, we're ready for agenda item number 8, Advisory Board new member appointment for the Library City Board. Anybody want to discuss that one?
I can. At the October 10th, 2014 Special City Commission meeting, the commission reviewed a partial term appointment for the Library City Board to fill an opening after a resignation occurred. The following appointment was reviewed favorably by the commission, and it's now up for your appointment.
I moved to, so it's for the library board. It's for a term starting now and ending May of 15. And it is Judith Cole. So I want to thank Judith for volunteering to serve on the library board, and I'd like to move to approve the advisory board new member appointments as specified here within.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? I'd like second Bill on that. Judy's been on a longtime supporter of the library, and I want to thank her for taking the time and effort. They're in the middle of raising funds, and I know will work hard at that.
And before we vote, I want to recognize, I believe that's whose term she's taken, Bill Cloblin, is leaving us. I think he's moving to Florida, I believe.
Yeah.
And Sunday was his last Sunday at church, and we're going to miss Bill.
Yeah.
Bill was very civic-minded and gave his time and his talent. And, I'm going to be real sorry to see him go. And if you're watching tonight, Bill, good luck. And thanks for all your hard work.
And did a great job on the library board.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Really did.
Oh, yeah.
He's been on El Dorado Inc., and he's been on the Chamber, and he's just been a great citizen in El Dorado.
Right.
You're right, Nick,
Just
about
left president of the chamber last year, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 9, new business, discussion items. Who would like to start this evening?
I can go. I just have two quick things. They're not much of business, but just wanted to mention. I real quick wanted to say I went to my second league not this past weekend, the weekend before. And it's, to me, of course, very informative, but more so, I have enjoyed it the past 2 years with being around our senior staff a little bit more and seeing how eager they are to learn more things to improve the city of El Dorado. And I just wanted to say that how much I appreciate that about our entire staff, but our senior staff, and spending time with them a little bit through that. They really are doing their best, I feel, to go out and find the best methods and learn from all the other cities and people in the state, and to bring back what they can to make El Dorado a better place. And so I really appreciate all of you on that. So, of course, it's rarely that I get that glimpse, not being with you all day today, but I just wanted to point that out. That's, you're in a position where you're never able to please everyone, but the fact that you guys are constantly wanting to educate yourselves gives me more confidence in all the good things that are happening. So, and then second off, I just wanted to say congratulations to CVB and then all the businesses that took part in Oktoberfest. It was a great event. I just loved it. I thought it was very simple. Wasn't a lot to it other than just kind of a community block party where I know people came down and enjoyed the evening. It was very clean, well ran, and simple, and I liked that. I appreciated that about it, and so congratulations to all them, all the businesses. It looked like hopefully downtown businesses had a good evening. The restaurants seemed to be pretty full, and so that's all I had.
I've got a couple things. The first one would be I got a call today. So as we've told everybody with the new website, you have an opportunity to go to the new website, pay your water bills online. And so I had a couple of calls, and one of them said, hey, I went out to pay my water bill online, which is awesome, but they wanted to charge me a convenience fee to process my credit card. And I know that we've had this discussion at the commission level about processing credit cards internally, and we absorb some of that cost as to not pass it on to the customer. And I guess my question to you, Herb staff, is was that just kind of an oversight? What do we need to do on the website to make that happen?
Well, I think, and you brought it to my attention. I didn't know. I do that other thing where they just take the money once a month. But I absolutely remember the conversation with the commission about who's paying the 3% that a bank charges on a credit card. And so if you come in today and swipe your card, there is no 3% convenience fee for coming in. Heck, I think you can call in and tell us, and there isn't. So this is different than what we're doing, and I think it got put on because we're physically going to write that check. So instead of interest, isn't that who does our bank card? So instead of interest taking it and us paying them, we're writing a check to Encode, the software company that's paying it to some bank probably. So you have an anomaly in the way we charge today, and so it's just a question of, is that okay, or do you want it to go away? And if you want it to go away and be like the way it is, we'll pay that fee. And essentially, if you set it up, it's less work for us. It takes less clerk time. I mean, you're not going to come in, but it will impact revenues. I mean, it's a 3% discount. But we've never charged it to today.
The 3% is, I think, kind of what we get charged for our credit cards that are run in-house. What the charge online is actually just $1.25 per transaction.
Oh.
And so it's just a set fee that Encode has, and like you said, they're willing to let us absorb it, and they'll bill us for it, but that's their decision.
You know, I think that I absolutely commend staff and their efforts in getting the new website going. I think that it's about 1 million times better than our old website. And it is a convenience to be able to pay your water bill online. But, you know, our citizens have, I think, paid for part of that convenience in their taxes and our general fund, and I'm just hopeful that we can find a way to not charge them more for paying their bills on time. So
you have an anomaly right now, and so we don't do it if you come in.
The fee would come out of the other funds, not the general fund.
I understand that. I'm just saying that we've used the general fund money to build this website to give that convenience to.
But it's the utilities. I mean, what we're going to do is we're just going to, it'll come out of our revenues for those 3 utilities.
Right. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts about providing the convenience for our citizens?
I'm not opposed to that. I mean, that'd be the exception. bills you pay, you have to pay something, but if it's something that we can absorb, I mean, I'm not opposed to that.
We talking about credit card and debit card?
Yeah.
I know I pay my bill pay, which is free. So you go to your checking account, put all the information in, boom, and it goes and don't cost anything.
That's what I do.
So I guess I would question why a guy would want to go this process, you know, if it's that convenient that way. And we give them the option. I guess I have a little problem going $1.25 on a $50 water bill, giving up that part when there's an actual cost to it. It ain't something that we're making money, we're just trying to watch our revenue. Yes.
If I may, Mayor, James Powell, 323 Rust Car.
Yeah.
I make a living online. I'm an online marketer. That's what I do for a living.
Mm-hmm.
In today's society, you have about 75 to 80% of people paying their bills online. The convenience does come in on the citizen's part. The convenience also comes in on the city's part as you don't have staff having to physically take care of these bills, having to physically be there to take care of that card. And I know myself personally, I wait till the last minute a lot of times to pay a bill. So being able to sit there at 11:59 at night and hit that button, it's a huge convenience to me, and it makes sure that my bills are all paid. The $1.25 fee doesn't sound like much, but to the average citizen, it is, because as Bill said, we do pay taxes. You know, we pay for a lot of things, and this is just this little something I think the city can step up and say, hey, we've taken care of it. That's all I've got. Thank you.
And I guess to build on it, you know, when you go to Walmart, there's not a convenience fee for swiping your card.
Right.
And it's the only place I've ever experienced it is in government. And,
Right.
And so I don't think anyone else.
Here's my challenge. So if, you know, James is here, and if he walks into City Hall with his credit card to pay the bill, there's no fee assessed to him.
Correct.
But if he sits at home and pays his bill on the new website that we continue to talk about up here, then he gets charged a fee, and that's what I have a problem with.
Right. Yeah.
Using the same credit card to pay it either way, or debit card either way.
Yeah, I agree with consistency. I mean, might as well.
If Jim walks in and pays, do we have to pay $1.25 at that time?
We pay 3%.
Okay, so we're already doing it.
We're already doing
On-
it.
on internal
if he does it with a
transactions.
card.
So if we're doing
But-
that, we might as well.
Yeah.
do it.
Right, that's
no,
what I'm
but
saying.
if he comes in and writes a check,
Yeah.
Right, I'm just
We
saying
don't-
on credit card and debit card transactions, I think that we need to standardize it, and the standards thus far has been that we're not going to upcharge the end user, the citizen, for for having that convenience.
What's so funny about coming in and writing a check? That's what I do.
well, I'm really laughing about the love I have for the county, because they upcharge you
A lot.
unless you write a check. And so I have almost written one box of checks in 8 years, because I never do. And so I write a check to the county for tags. I write a check to the city if I need to. But I even quit that because my water bill comes out automatically out of my account. I never know it. I don't know what it is.
So are you guys okay with waiving that fee online, just like we do internally?
Yep.
I do for now, but I'd be interesting to keep track of that and just see, you know, how big a factor we're talking
Well, and
6 months or a year from now.
And if everyone does it, we'll have 3% loss in revenue. And I
Not
think,
everyone will do it.
okay.
Well,
And so to you, I think to your point.
But you
it's
also
gonna
have the
add up.
opportunity then to reevaluate your utility billing staff,
Absolutely,
if you've got no one processing checks in here.
right.
They still have to process the payment even if you're paying online.
But it's different than if you walk in, we do more work.
I wanted to say that this month we've had 20 payments so far, so people are getting out there and using it. You know, we're getting ready to send something to encourage it, but
So if we're going to make this decision for now, to waive that $1.25, would it, I think.
We can credit.
We can credit back the $1.25 to those 20 people that have.
You bet.
Gone out and done that, okay. So, a couple more things that I've got. You know, I know that city staff So in 2009, we did the comprehensive plan. I talked about this a little bit a couple weeks ago. I was on the planning commission at the time, and every year, as city staff does their planning, they should be, and I believe they are, doing that planning based on the details in the comprehensive plan. And so there's a few things that I have some questions about, and I want to see where we're at with. Under the comprehensive plan, the housing section, which is section 8, strategy 4.2 deals a lot with rental property, upkeep and maintenance. There's some discussion in there about code enforcement on rental properties. Has that changed since 2009 in how we enforce building codes and so forth on rental properties?
I don't think too much. Did we ever adopt the housing maintenance?
Our municipal code has housing maintenance, a housing maintenance ordinance, which is very similar to the International Building Code property maintenance.
Right.
We have here recently probably started treating rental housing a little different than homeowner-owned residential properties, and looking at it more, becoming more pushy on the life safety features. Our building official, Scott Peachin, has worked with a lot of property owners and electricians and other people about getting those minimal safety features like hardwired smoke alarms, GFCI outlets in these rental properties, and really taking a hard look. The city has the opportunity to jump in and evaluate something when power is pulled from that, because prior to a meter being replaced, it has to be signed off by the building official. So he's really been taking a hard look at some of these properties, and there's a lot of them out there, but he is taking them as they come, and I think we're seeing some positive things happen.
I think there are a lot of them out there, and I think that this, I mean, it's one bite at a time. It's the only way to eat the elephant. So, I think that as long as we're making progress. That was a very specific point, though, in the comprehensive plan. In 2009, we didn't, as a community, it wasn't felt like there was any progress being made there. So that's, I think, why it was put in the comprehensive plan. So I'm hopeful that we can continue down that path and really review that section 4, that strategy 4.2. In the housing section, which talks a lot about rental properties. If you guys could review that and really see what else you can do.
And I think one of the other things that at 2009 and 7 and 8, when we were talking about it, we hadn't had that full-time position. Right. I think you started that in probably 05, 06 maybe, Mayor. And so that took a while to really kick in, but I don't remember the last time, but we mail out lots and lots of letters expecting people to maintain property, and even have had people come here and remind us that we have property that we need to take care of as well. Sure. So I think that it's something that we will always have to be attentive to, and it'll never go away. But as you may remember, when Linda came and reported of her survey of properties, she said she went down a block and the best looking in the neighborhood she was looking in were rentals, and that completely shocked me.
And there's a few areas like that.
And so I mean, and I
don't want anyone to take that. I mean, we have some landlords, some property owners that have rentals that take very good care of their properties. So I just want to make sure that we're.
And this was pushed by.
Some of those. I remember the conversation. I was on the planning commission.
There's landlords who want us to do maintenance, inspections.
Right.
And so.
Yeah, and get rid of those ones that are taking advantage of our citizens and really downgrading the rest of our housing.
Who need housing so desperately that they'll pay for something that's
no one should be living in.
Right. Also under the housing section, strategy 4.3.1, 2, and 3 really focuses on the improved communication between the city and the developers and home builders. Dave and I have had an opportunity to serve on that ad hoc housing task force, and we've made some real improvements with that task force, I think. But it speaks in that strategy about working towards a periodic local builders forum. And I think that that's important so that our city staff can better keep their finger on the pulse of the local builders, whether that we're dealing with infill or new development. So I guess I would just ask for support from the rest of the commission to encourage or to direct city staff to look at those sections and try and get that organized. There's no cost in those, what it talks about in there. It's just really focuses on communication with our local builders and our developers. I think this is going to help us recognize and address the challenges before they become a roadblock for the developers and the builders, or before they become a roadblock for the city, and become a problem. So does anyone have any problems with having city staff kind of just work with them on that?
Absolutely not. And now that you said that, give me ideas too, because tomorrow at noon, the Housing Committee is meeting, and so, and the topic on that is to have just exactly what you talked about. And so, so it's fortuitous.
Good.
And so that's kind of that. So that they think it needs to be done.
Well,
the
comprehensive plan talks about the periodic builders forum. It also talks about, if there's some assistance that the city can give just in guidance to help these builders and developers maybe form a local builders association to be able to communicate that information back to the city, the county, whoever they're dealing with. So I think that those are things probably to talk about at the Housing Committee meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
Under economic development, which is Section 10 of the comprehensive plan, 3.3.2, Linda was here last time and talked to us a little bit, and so I had kind of a question about this. It says, identify target retail and service businesses and aggressively market El Dorado as a great place to do business. My question is, and I know what my opinion is, and I'm just wanting an opinion from the rest of the commission as well, are we being aggressive enough or proactive enough to see any real results in targeting these retail businesses and some of these service businesses to try and get them to town?
I can tell you what was reported. I think that last time Linda was here, they reported that they have been being reactive, and
Right.
And that they want to be more proactive. And I think that's what the commission.
We've wanted to be proactive for a long time, and so I guess I think that we need to, as a commission, direct Herb to relay that to Linda that it's time that we have to be proactive. We can't continue on a reactive path waiting for someone to contact us and say, hey, we'd like to come to your community. I feel like we've got great places. It is a great town. It's a great place to do business, and I think that we've got to be proactive in how we address that.
I completely agree with being proactive. I think maybe, perfect world, we could ask that to Linda when she was here so she could have responded to that.
Right.
And so maybe she would like to come back and address that briefly, but I think.
And in our contract with Inc. and for services, it required that they do an assessment, figure out what we're good at, and back to the conversations at League. We should not invest a tremendous amount of money trying to get Toyota to build a plant here. Yep. It's probably not happening, and we don't have the labor to supply Toyota with 1,000 or 2,000 people. We do have the labor to help more local than anyone else continue to grow his business. And I think 85% of all jobs are created by people in your community right now. And I'd guess the next 15 or 10 of them are from people that grew up here, moved away,
and want to come back.
And want to come home. And so I think, that, Mike, maybe you and I were talking about it. Someone I was talking about.
We were, and I got it written down.
And so it's about the citizens of El Dorado. They're our asset for economic development. Absolutely. If you're teammate on your basketball team in high school went on to MIT and is now making some little thing in Boston, because that's where he went to school. Tell him come home. I mean, you can make the little thing, or they can make it anywhere. And I think the thing we have in El Dorado and in the region that's unique is the number of skilled machinists from the aerospace industry that are currently unemployed. And so we have, there's lots of places that advertise in Wichita for employees in other parts of the country because they need machinists, and we got them. And so we have that skill set here abundant. And so I think we all need to be in that economic development game, and it's about calling our friends, telling them to come home.
And I think I'm completely supportive of we need to keep encouraging, being proactive, but I do feel confident, at least my conversations in the past 60 days, that recently there is a little shift in mentality with some, and that there's some promising things that are hopefully on the horizon that I feel go along with this thought that you just shared. And so,
right. If we base it on the conversation last week, last week's conversation seemed very reactive, and we can't be reactive. We can't move forward being reactive.
And I'm sure if she was here, she could.
And I agree completely. And I'm going to try to have a conversation.
Yeah. And I think that she has done things, and I think Inc. has started working on assessments. Mm-hmm. I guess from my perspective, adding value to petroleum is going to be our cup of tea for a long time, because no one is rioting when someone wants to open an oil business in El Dorado. Mm-hmm. It's been such a part of the community for so long. Now, if we can add the technology piece where you're really adding value to that raw product, like BG does, I guess like Barton does, that's where adding value is what we need to keep encouraging. And
those are some of the service businesses that I feel like we have been missing, are those value-add technology businesses that are out there, that are always looking for homes. So, and being a part of that industry, I know that that's something that we have skipped over, I think, in looking for manufacturing jobs. I've only got two more, guys. Sorry about this. So, under economic development, 3.41 and 3.42, they really focus on El Dorado Lake. I remember when we did a comprehensive plan. I didn't grow up here. I moved here when I was in high school, and I absolutely see El Dorado Lake as probably one of our city's greatest assets. And based on the responses that you see in the comprehensive plan, quite a lot of people in the community feel the same way. So my question to you, Herb, is can you tell us where we are in relation to working on some of the opportunities that the comprehensive plan spelled out?
And I can. The state of Kansas and I think the city of El Dorado both did an assessment, and so there's two assessments about opportunities at the lake. They were all positive, and so we were highly focused on it, and then the recession hit and housing stopped, and so it's kind of stopped. But I think it's critical enough that you'd be better served if in a month or something we put it on the agenda and you had a long discussion so we could talk about the history and the opportunities and what's gone on, and then you can assess what you think about that.
I think that'd be a good idea, because there's some great things in the comprehensive plan as they pertain to the lake, and it's the biggest, great asset to the community. Okay. Section 11 is transportation and infrastructure, strategy 2.2.4. We've had this discussion just since I've been on the commission, so it discusses bike lanes on some of our streets. I know a couple of years ago we discussed this, and we all felt like there's some areas that we could include bike lanes, kind of some low-hanging fruit. We asked staff to move forward with a couple of those projects, and just want to get a status update from you.
Yeah. Haven't got it done yet, but again, at League, it was, the speakers talked about a couple things. One was the health of our nation and the health of Kansas, how we've gone from being the 10th healthiest state to the 27th, and it's all about, we put our schools out of town and we bus and drive our kids to school and they don't walk. And so, so we need to get back on track on that. And so in that same discussion was bicycles and bike lanes. And I guess I think that we've talked about it since the League. Country Club would probably be a great place. Village would be a great place. We built this great big wide road, and so you have a road that could be 4 or 5 lanes, and it's currently really 2. Metcalf,
Right.
Everyone
Well, I
drives.
know
2
that this
lanes.
part of this probably can play into the safe routes to school and some of those things. And I was not able to make it to League. We had something come up, and I wish that I would have been now, understanding what some of the conversations were. But I understand that there was a conversation that kind of centered around sidewalks and bike paths and alternate modes of types of transportation around towns our size. And so I think this is something that we asked for before. I think we need to push and get this done on. And look, the comprehensive plan is what the community wants us to do, and this is one of those things that's low-hanging fruit. It isn't going to cost anything to go out there and get it done. I mean, just
Yep. No,
so
I'm with you.
You guys could do that.
We'll do it.
And I guess the last thing I would say is that I've really been focusing on those things in our comprehensive plan. Again, I was on the Planning Commission. I was part of this. I'm proud of what the community came up with. There was a ton of community involvement. And we kind of stray away from, really focusing on the comprehensive plan at times. I would like to encourage the commission to maybe consider a full work session or a commission retreat with city staff to just kind of review the comprehensive plan, maybe have Herb, have his staff go through the plan, figure out what they have kind of gotten done or where they're at in some of these areas, and be able to update us so that we can really move forward with a plan and understand where we're at. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are about that.
Would not be opposed to that.
After League, it became apparent to me that I am regulating in some part, the comprehensive plan. I'm doing it internally. You're never getting the opportunity to say it. I'm regulating it because I don't want to raise the mill levy. And so I'm regulating what's occurring. You're never seeing opportunities. We talk about stuff, and I don't think that's fair to you. You approved the comprehensive plan. The citizens gave it to you, and I think as Mike says all the time, we focus on the mill levy, but it's a fractional part of our revenues. It's a big fraction, but it isn't all of them by any means. And so I've already asked staff to go through the comp plan. Let's take account of how far we've come in 5 years. What have we done? What have we talked about? What haven't we done? And so we're doing an internal assessment right now. And so if you want to do that this winter, we can do that. And I think we owe it to you. And
are you guys on board with kind of maybe a retreat to really sit down and go over this and get into the meat of it and figure out how we can better serve the citizens? That's all I've got. Sorry. Thank you.
Good job. Nick, what do you got?
Happy Halloween, everybody. Be careful when you're at Allegheny and Olive because it's zombie central down there. So that's all I got.
I know you guys have all went to the league meetings. I was there 3 days. I really enjoyed it. You come home with so many ideas that you don't know which one to go jump first. But it's interesting to talk to other cities on what they're doing. And the speaker I just about fell on my chair when he talked about they'd taken the schools and moved them outside of town. He described exactly what we did, didn't he, Herb?
Yes, he did.
And I think one thing we need to be very careful of is what happens to the old middle school. So I don't have the answer to that, but I sure had that feeling that that's something that we need to be careful and make sure something positive happens there somehow. It's kind of interesting on what, Bill, what you put into that, one of the tables I sat at, and I come home thinking this, and this is kind of what Herb talked about. If we take and if we had a list of 5 businesses we need downtown, shoe store, clothing store, whatever the 5 is that the community feels like they need, that it's not just El Dorado Inc. that's out trying to do this. It's not just Main Street that's out doing this. There's one town that gives $2,000 to whoever gets somebody to move town to fill one of those 5 spots. And I couldn't get that one. That's pretty cheap stuff to get somebody in. So let's say you have a brother or sister that runs a shoe store in Chicago. You know, if you got them to move to El Dorado, Kansas and open up, El Dorado Inc.'s got plenty of money in the bank. What's $2,000 to get a new shoe store in town? So you know what I'm saying? And
I agree.
I thought, you know, there's a lot of positive things that could happen. So then, in that scenario, we've got 12 or 13,000 people in town that's out looking for these 5. We need to let people know what these 5 are, and you know, kind of get a plan to it. That's something El Dorado Inc. can talk about and try to come up with some deals. But I thought that was a great idea. Who knows what might come out of that guy like you was describing, Herb. So
and I think that's how it happens.
Yeah.
And more times than not, that's how it's happening. And I think one of the things in the Economic Outlook Conference, it talked about the struggles of brick and mortar as more and more of us go to online. But the place where brick and mortar doesn't have to struggle, is on service. You know, there's nothing like going up and face to face and doing business with someone you know that is brick and mortar in your community. I mean, you're going to get service that you will never get online, and that's if you can actually talk to a human, and often you can't.
So instead of pushing things out to the outside of town, you try to focus on bringing it in. And they had pictures of old buildings before and after, and how it was changing their community. So,
and if someone might be interested in seeing what some of those things are, you know, like those top 5 you were talking about, the Dan Wilson, who's on the Main Street board, on their Facebook page, started a really interesting dialogue that went on for a few days, and a lot of people commented on what, in regards to when you kind of mentioned just downtown businesses or smaller businesses, what people would like to see in town. And so if you are someone who's kind of interested in possibly pursuing a small business venture and are curious what people are wanting to see, that kind of just recently has been an interesting conversation on social media on that page. So for what that's worth.
I was listening.
And I'm happy to, if you want, I'll communicate this. Inc. meets tomorrow. I'll tell them about this.
Yeah, I'd definitely share it with them.
Look, it's an idea.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. You know.
Listened to something yesterday or day before, and it was talking about that there was a beer company out in California that 90% of the beer is water. And it was talking about in California they was using wastewater in there to do this. You know, and this, it just really hit me about how important water is going to be in the future.
Yeah.
With all kind of industries.
It just kind of hit me about how bad that beer problem was.
Well, that's what I thought. But the thought is that where water fits in this future, what you was talking about, Bill, and understanding what we have here and be looking for things like that. So that kind of went to the forefront with me.
And again, Mayor, it's adding value to a product.
Yeah.
And so, now, if I'm making beer out of effluent, I am running it through RO. So, but again, and one of the things, the state's working on a 50-year comprehensive plan for water.
Yeah.
And I commented on it because one of their tenets is that we don't sell water out of Kansas, that it all's got to be consumed here. That's crazy. I mean, if Augie Bush wants to open a plant in El Dorado, I think we hug him and sell him a bunch of water. And so, when you're selling it $1.50 for 1,000 gallons, and he's selling it $1.50 a can, there's a lot of added value there. And so, I think it's a great idea. Our brewery in town moved from Wichita because they would have had to put in RO. To make good beer there, they would have had to put in RO and then put the minerals back. Well, they came to El Dorado, made a batch of beer, and didn't have to do anything. I mean, it's cook it and go, and they make really good beer. And so times are changing. I mean,
maybe you have a list of, we research and see which industries are water intensive, and kind of say how would one of them fit into our program around here.
And Inc. did
They
that
did something with water. I mean, I remember seeing something, at least since I've been on the commission, that was similar to what you just said. So you might see if they have something recently. Or I feel like I saw some kind of list associated with that.
Got two other things. I had a lady call me and had a nice conversation. One is out there in front of Oil Hill, that little median deal. If you go out and look at how many cars have hit that, which I did today, with the black deals out there, we either need to get rid of that, that's option one, or two, put a nice little reflector on there, where at night you see that. I've come around that in the wintertime. You get a little snow and you can't see that. You're going to hit some pretty hard snow there, is what I'm telling you. So it's just a thought, Herb. That
I'm happy to put a reflector on. And the only thing I'd say is that it's 14 foot wide. So if you hit it, it means you can't navigate a regular lane. And so if you hit it,
I would agree, though, with the reflector, because I think the reflector would be...
And did we put them on there and they get...
Because a few times, I mean, you come around that corner...
That'd tear your car up, though. And I'm sure there's a lot of people...
And it doesn't take much snow on that road to make it where you can't...
To hide it.
Yeah.
No, and I know, but it's always... I mean, if you can't navigate 14 foot, and the widest your car can be is 8... and none are.
It's really, and it's meant to slow you down.
Right.
And that's the sole purpose of that.
Well, I guess I can't navigate.
It'll slow you down.
Well, to slow you down enough so you navigate it without hitting it.
But I think, and to Mike's point, I think a reflector is a good idea because that curve is
we'll
very
put
dark
it on.
at night.
Yeah.
We'll put on, but again, and actually, you were on the commission, and Nick sure was. The people that live there. Oh no, I'm only blaming you for getting to hear all the people come in and say it's going to be a racetrack, and so we absolutely designed so it can't be a racetrack, and it's a racetrack anyway.
And a truck route, don't forget that.
And can't have trucks on it, and so we've absolutely deployed police out there, specifically looking to write trucks tickets, and so it wasn't. Scott hit it on the head. I mean, it's about slowing traffic, and so we get it, but we can put reflectors back on it, and it needs paint. We ought to probably paint it once a week.
I didn't realize
I'm with you on it
until you see how many people's hit that.
No, I'm with you.
Why don't you paint it with reflective paint?
We can add BBs, and you may notice we've been painting a bunch lately. I think only white. I don't know if I've seen a yellow, and we put reflective. I call them BBs. What's the real name, Scott?
They're plastic beads.
And so when your lights hit them, it just really stands out. And so that's why we do it.
The other thing this person brought up was yellow paint. So had the day off, I was driving around looking at that, out from like Haverhill West. You look at how much we need to do some yellow painting out in that area. Are we getting ready to? It looked like they'd been scraping some.
Well,
in
and
that
we've been out painting white. And so in fact, I think after your last commission meeting, I was driving home and up by your manhole, there were all these yellow lights flashing. I'm thinking of what has happened to the manhole now. And all I did is I met our painters coming. And so we've been out painting at night, and we're going to continue. We get weather like this, I'm going to say we're out painting right now.
Yeah. So
And we do it in the middle of the night when we affect the least amount of people.
Yeah. Haverhill West, she had a point on the deal, so.
Okay, I'm happy to let them know. Actually, is Brad still
And
sitting?
the other thing.
You got it on your list? Are we out painting right now, I guess?
No, but it's not late enough yet.
Okay.
The other thing I noticed when you look at those where you can pull in and turn, you'll notice that people has hit those quite a bit in the right place. Now, I don't know at night, going down through there might be a place on a couple
Central?
of them, where you can maybe put a reflector up of when the indention comes out so that somebody knows that. Just a thought, because you can see where they're hitting to have an issue. If they're hitting it and having an issue, something's causing that. So just kind of look at it real careful.
Okay.
And the only other thing I want to throw, that Community National Walmart deal, if we had any kind of, I looked today and
Did you
that
talk
drives
to the
me nuts
Walmart
to
people
look at
yet?
that.
We're working on some concepts right now, so
Okay, so we are working on it and something's going to happen there.
we'll bring it back to you. I mean, or if it's bigger than what we think we have funds for, obviously, we'll bring it back to you, but.
Okay. So I just keep working on that one, Scott, because that just looks terrible, somebody coming in town, in my opinion. So. Okay, that's all I got.
Okay, I want to let you know that the commission meetings are back on video. It's a YouTube thing, and I don't know what to say more than that.
It's on the city commission page.
You're here to talk about it.
Oh, they're going to show you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So does that mean we can have it anytime we want it to?
Anytime you want. What we did was we have some age-old technology back and back, and so we still burn a DVD with your meeting on it. When we burn that DVD, it comes up with several chapters, so you have lots of chapters to have to go through. We got some software that compresses that all down, puts it in one, and until we're ready to start live streaming on the website, those are now on a YouTube channel that is linked to our website here. So
cool.
We went back 6 months and put 6 months worth of those, condensed them down so you didn't have, when you only had hour-long meetings, you didn't have as many chapters as when you have a 3 or 4 hour-long meeting.
When did we ever have an hour-long meeting?
You've had a couple.
So you're going to go to the city government up here, mouse over that, just rest your mouse on it. You can drop down here under city commission and have commission videos. When you click there, it takes you, as it catches up, takes you here to the commission video page underneath your city commission page. It just drops down here immediately, so there's no scrolling down to find it. And you can kick that video off, and there you go. We're going, if it had audio, it would work. We got audio here. So there we go. That's last. You see right up here, it gives you the date, 10/6/14. If you want to go back and look at others, right under here, it tells you to click the following link. You go to the YouTube channel. Here's the link. It opens it in a second tab, so it never takes us away from our website. And there they are, all the way back 6 months.
Good work.
The other thing, Ken, if you can go back to the City Commission page, that we've added on the City Commission page is a government transparency page. So if you click that, that'll be kind of the Commission document center. So you'll see some of the most pressing things that people have been asking about listed there, as well as in the agendas where they applied. So.
Awesome. Good job. Great.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about just go ahead and talk about the Wi-Fi thing while we're both up here?
Sure.
I think Commissioner Young asked about the Wi-Fi project identified in the comp plan last week, where we were at with it. Ken and I have discussed what we're doing right now and what that has to do with where we're headed. The backbone that we are currently putting in could at some point, probably with additional work and funding, work towards that, the city becoming an ISP or providing internet service to homes, et cetera, businesses and all that. Right now, what portion of that we're working on is for the public sector, is for us, to be able to, at some point, quite possibly read meters, to be able to connect traffic control devices, and to be able to have internet access, data access in vehicles where those people need that to do their job. So code enforcement, police department, public works folks, locates, stuff like that. So as far as actually working towards the sections in the comp plan, those things have not taken place yet.
So if you read through the comments in the comp plan, there's a couple of things that really went into the Wi-Fi discussion piece of the comp plan. One of those, of course, like you just mentioned, well, three things. One was for the public utility use. The other was the potential of a citywide ISP solution. But then there was also kind of this thought that you find common areas in town, which, your green spaces, your parks, your downtown area, and just kind of have those be your kind of hotspot areas, so that as people gather or commune in those areas, they have that access. And so I think rather than, I think if you guys look at it in a maybe even just a phased approach, you've got to get your backbone in place first. I've been in this business long enough to know that. But maybe the next thing we look at is just those community areas that we have people gathering on a regular basis. It'd be a good opportunity to maybe spread that around there rather than jumping right into a full ISP solution, because that's a big project.
And as we built the backbone, as Ken built the backbone for this, we looked at those areas. So when we looked at the Kansas Sampler Festival and being able to provide internet access to East Park, for instance, or for North Main Park, under our current system, that's absolutely doable. With the infrastructure that we're putting in at this time, that's doable. Coming to your house with ISP, being an ISP.
That's a big project.
That's a huge project.
I understand that.
And at this point, there hasn't been a solid funding source identified to do something like that. This backbone, this system, this infrastructure that we're putting in now absolutely has the ability to do that. Okay. And do that, I would say, fairly good.
It's another opportunity to value add to our citizens, especially, like I said, in those areas where people commune a lot and gather. So it's a good opportunity.
Absolutely.
Appreciate what you guys are doing.
You bet.
Thanks, guys.
Real quick, because I didn't tell you, you may not have it on your list. Fall cleanup is this coming weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So.
And it's drop off. You don't get it at your house.
Yeah, we're not coming to your house this time, but you get to bring it up to us. So.
What can you bring?
What do you want to bring?
Well, kind of describe.
What do you want to bring?
Describe what they can do.
We're not going to take any hazardous waste.
Okay.
No refrigerators that have Freon.
Right, nothing with Freon in them, and that's about the limit. I think you're limited to 4 tires per person. But
and where they bring it to?
To the Public Works building. Same. We've done this now. This will be 5 years now. I think we've done this. So.
And what's the time?
All day Saturday and I think all day Sunday.
Okay.
Now, our numbers have dropped down, but I think that means we're getting a lot of stuff cleaned up. So if you've been visited by our code enforcement officer, feel free to bring that stuff on up. So take the opportunity to clean up your yards.
And we still do the dump truck?
Dump trucks are over now because it's time that we'll start using that. We'll get those trucks ready for plowing snow. But
okay.
We have roll-offs.
Thanks, Brad.
Just a couple real quick things. I want to let everyone know that they're starting to remodel at the library, and I understand the upstairs part will be moving to the Gish building in December, so it'll be temporarily relocated during that construction. One of the things I learned at League was that the state is once again wanting to help us all, and their plan is to put 3, as the world moves to IP dispatch, data dispatch, they're going to build 3 great big mega IP places so that all the little dispatch centers don't have to upgrade some of their equipment, and that they will probably do that for this low fee of what they currently send to us to pay for stuff that we all pay on our tax bill. I am obviously leery about their follow-through. While I think it sounds like a great idea, I think the leveler tax, and I mean, you can name several things where they made promises and have never followed through with their promises, and even the laws of the state of Kansas. And that's all I have.
Did you guys get a chance to look at some infill opportunities, or are you going to report on that later?
Yeah.
Okay.
But working on it.
I stand corrected. It is not on Sunday. It is Friday all day and Sunday and Saturday. So not Sunday. My bad. We're going to talk about Skelly and 6th Street.
Oh, well, the school zone commissioner's not here tonight, but one's going to start part of it in the morning.
Right.
Skelly will probably, and that's Washington.
6th Street.
Yep. And then
Lincoln.
Skelly, that's Lincoln. No, that's right. Lincoln, and then Skelly probably this week. Yeah. So.
Great.
Then those are the advance warnings for the school zones coming up. So.
So you guys put those
So,
up.
Yeah,
so can we talk about what that is or what's going to happen?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody watching this at home.
You're going to be just like on 12th Street near Grandview or Oil Hill for a long time. When children have the potential to cross, we slow down the traffic to 20, and so, well, 45, I think, up north. But in a school zone, you're actually on the edges of the zone, you're going to have flashing yellow lights telling you to slow down. It's the school time,
Right.
So in the morning and that afternoon.
Thompson's gone. I was going to.
And so the flashing lights are just advance warning that the school zone is active.
And the signs will say 20 miles an hour when flashing. The times will go away and it'll say when flashing. So.
But like everything, if it's going off at 7 o'clock at night, just call us and that'll tell us that something has happened and we'll fix it.
Okay, is that it?
That's it.
All right, anything else, commissioners?
No, sir.
No, sir.
I'd entertain a motion then.
I'll move we adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to adjourn. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you very much.